Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining this talk. My name is Agata and I'm a software engineer here at Snyk. My team is in Cloud Native Group and we work on Snyk's container offering, which means we handle all things containers. So today I'd like to talk about how we developers have so many things to worry about when we're working on our software, like performance, scalability, maintainability, security. These are only the few examples. So choosing the right third-party dependency is often quite a tricky choice. So during this demo, I will show you how to tackle the issue of your app being vulnerable super early in the pipeline. So I'm going to go over a few tools with you that will help us identify those issues in the application that we're working on at the moment. So we'll talk about how to choose the right package, how to fix your security vulnerabilities, and how to validate that fix before pushing it out. So in this session, we'll review those three scenarios. So I'm an engineer, I'm building something new. How to validate what package is right. We're going to talk about the OS Advisor tool in here. The second one is I'm writing code, how to validate. And here we'll talk about our IDE plugins and the Snyk CLI. And the last one is how to react when we find an issue in already upstream application. So for example, when we're running the monitor. Okay, let's start. I'm going to open the VS Code now. So in my VS Code, I've got a small JavaScript application. It's a to-do list written with Express and MongoDB, and it's called Goof. You can actually see it in our public GitHub repo, so you can play with it if you'd like as well. So I'm just thinking about what to use for my application in here, which packages to use, and already Snyk can come useful at this stage. So let's navigate to our OS Advisor. And you can search for a package in here. OS Advisor talks to our constantly updated vulnerability database. So for my purposes, because I'm using MongoDB, and I'll probably need the ODM for that, let's have a look and search Mongoose. Awesome, so it's the first one on the list. Let's check that one out. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about the UI now. So the very first thing that strikes the eye is the package health score on the top right corner. It's 94 points, so it's a very healthy package. Mongoose is actually an example of a very, very well-maintained package. So you can see now in the boxes below, in the popularity box and maintenance box, that a lot of people download it. It's got a quite high commit frequency, and every month there is a quite high number of commits. There is no known security issues, so it's all green in there. You can see it's quite popular among the community. And you can see a few more cool info, like for example Node.js compatibility. But let's have a look at another package. I was already looking before at the package.ts that I'm also considering using for my application. It's called SC, and it's a module for serving static files. So already in here we can see that the health score is a little bit lower. We can see this popularity spike in May, which we're not sure where it's coming from. But what for us can be interesting is that there is no commits for the past 11 months. So let's keep that in mind and scroll lower down onto the security box. So the latest version, 2.0, doesn't have any direct or indirect vulns. but we did see some in the previous versions. So now, taking into considerations that project hasn't been worked on for 11 months, how sure can we be if there is a new dependency that introduced a vulnerability is going to get fixed? We're going to go back to my VS Code. Now, Snyk has many tools. We can integrate with Git repos. We have CI/CD tools, registries, containers, and so the CLI and the IDEs empower developers to test while they work to build the best possible version without having to rely on a later process. So I'm going to show you now the VS Code extension. You can install it by going to the extensions tab and searching for vulncast, and it's going to be the first one on the list. I've already installed it, so I'll leave you to it. And once we've done that, because it's a JavaScript application, like I said before, let's go to our package.json. So for us in Snyk, your manifest files are going to be very important. So let's have a look at Mongoose package again. And we can see immediately inline feedback that we've got 6 vulns. You can also click at your package, fix vulns, and it's going to bring up a terminal box talking a little bit more about the details of those vulnerabilities. So you can see the severity of that vulnerability. So there are 6 of them. A couple is medium, 2 high, 2 low. And also what interests us the most, really, it's a possible remediation. So we've got a remediation advice in here, and it's telling us that possibly Mongoose.5.4.10 is a better choice for us. Now let's have a look, as I know that not everyone is a JavaScript developer, at one more IDE tool, and it's going to be an IntelliJ plugin. So let's navigate to my IntelliJ. So I've got the same to-do list written in Java. It's called Java Goof if you also want to check it out in our repos. It's public. Our plugin supports all Java package managers, so Maven and Gradle. I'll be using Maven. I've used Maven for my application. So first of all, again, I've already installed it, so do that if you haven't already. And make sure first of all that your application is saved before you want to test it. And then we can scroll down, we can navigate down to the bottom bar and open up Snyk from there. And if you haven't run your scan yet, you can click at Run Scan in here. So our plugin in IntelliJ is based on the Snyk CLI. So if you've never installed it before, it's going to download it for you, and you're going to have to authenticate as well. Once you've done that, you'll be all ready to go. So let's have a look at the list of our vulnerabilities that came through from the scan. So we can see the expanded pom.xml in here, and go through that list. So we can see some of them are high severity, some of them are medium severity. So let's choose one. And then we can again see a little bit more detailed information. So we can see that particular dependency vulnerability is a high severity. And we can see the possible remediation as well. It's telling us to upgrade to a higher version. For those who work with Eclipse, we also have a Eclipse IDE plugin, and it's called Snyk Vuln Scanner. So check it out if you're using Eclipse. So the IDE plugins let you test your open source dependencies for security and license issues. But let's take a look at the CLI, which lets you do so much more. The CLI can be integrated into your CI/CD pipeline, or it can be used locally, which I'm going to do. So let's open the console. I am in my Goof directory, which is my Goof repository that we've used before. And I'm going to run Snyk test. Snyk test now will take all your open source dependencies and cross-reference them against our vulnerability database. We've got output in here, as you can see. Let's scroll to the top. And it's designed in a way to help you to see the important issues immediately. So we've got a severity level in here. So we've got some high severity vulnerabilities, some medium, some low severity ones. And scrolling down, we've got patchable issues in here. And we've got some license issues in here as well, which is quite interesting. So we're also prompted with a possible action from our side. So we can be told how to react in here. That can be adapted for your organization, so it can be using your policies. And there's a couple more information that we might be interested in, like for example your target file, for example. As I said before, we in Snyk are very interested in your manifest files often, and the project name. So let's go a step further and run Snyk monitor. So this now will take a snapshot of your dependencies, which will help us to run recurring tests on them later on. So we can identify new vulnerabilities when they're introduced and notify you. So in here, as we can see, the output is a little bit different. There is a link that we can follow. And it's going to open up your Snyk app. There is your project in here, so there's a little bit of, it's a little bit richer in information, I would say, our UI. So you've got some project information in here. I won't too much in detail into your project page, as other sections will explain it a little bit better. But you've got, the important bit is that you also have all your vulnerabilities listed in here in the UI. And also when you go back into your projects and you check your CI/CLI integrations checkbox, you can see your project now on the list in here, and it's going to be persistent in there. You can also see the last time when it was tested. In our case, it was just a minute ago, just now. So test and monitor are just a couple of commands. They're important commands, possibly the commands that I use the most, but CLI is so much more. So if you're interested, make sure you check it out. So in today's session, we saw a number of tools. So I showed you our OS advisor that you can open in the browser. It's snyk.io/advisor. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that before. It's our VS Code extension, which is called vulncost. We've got an IntelliJ Snyk plugin that we've talked about as well. And I've mentioned that we also have Eclipse extension. And we've seen a couple of commands in the CLI. So the good news is that they're all free and you can use them all. If you're on the related paid plan, you have unlimited number of tests. If you're on a different paid plan or the free plan, you can also use them. You only have access to a limited number of tests. So go ahead and give it a go. Thank you so much for listening.